All right, folks, we're going to talk to Brad Thor. We're going to have Gimme 5. It's going to be an exciting hour. But in just a moment, we're going to play an interview that I had a chance to do the other day. And I got to tell you, this is an amazing interview with Msgr. Hilary Franco, Assistant to Bishop Fulton J. Sheen, Advisor to the Permanent Observer of the Holy See to the United Nations. I had the pleasure to talk with him about his efforts to make Bishop Fulton a saint in the Roman Catholic Church, and not just his efforts. This is apparently very, very close to taking place, very, very close to happening. And I just sat here mesmerized by the interview with the Monsignor. And we start the interview, for those of you who don't know, the bishop had a TV show that had millions and tens of millions of viewers. And we start with a clip from that TV show. And as you watch this clip coming up, leading into the interview with the Monsignor, you will be riveted. I guarantee that you will be riveted, as I was watching this for the first time. And it's really a treat. So sit back, enjoy the clip here, and then we'll talk to the Monsignor. Enjoy.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
All of our choices and decisions that have gone into the making of our personality will come out in a crisis, and the crisis is coming upon us. There is not much peace outside of us, and the only real peace that we can be sure of is the peace that is on the inside. And when we are building our character, we need some model on the outside, someone with justice and mercy and goodness and a spirit of sacrifice will inspire us to tear off these chunks of selfishness that we may be like unto him. For as he said, I have given you an example. And may all the American characters begin to emerge now under the grace of God, as we continue to be a great nation, loving one another in a spirit of charity, loving God who made us and blessed us. God love you.
And that is from Life is Worth Living, and you can't help but be moved just by that short clip that we are viewing. And joining us now is Msgr. Hilary Franco. He was assistant to Bishop Fulton J. Sheen and advisor, permanent observer of the Holy See to the United Nations. Monsignor, it is an honor for me to shake your hand, sir.
It's a pleasure to see you in person,
well,
Steve, because I see you all the time on television, but this is different.
Thank you very much. All right, I know you were watching it, and you were taking great pleasure in watching the man that you served with and were assistant to for how many years?
Well, I was with him and lived with him for 5 years, but I was also his, we call it peritus at the Second Vatican Council. So I've been working for him during my kind of free time before being with him, because I'm the last surviving member of the household of Bishop Fulton J. Sheen. We lived here, not far from here, 109 East 38th Street.
Wow. And
our office was at 366 Fifth Avenue. So this is my neighborhood,
yeah,
you know, with the bishop.
Yeah, you're right.
Bishop Fulton J. Sheen, and I naturally, most of the time, I was always in the studio where he would telecast. As you do know, we had the show. Relatively
millions and millions and millions of people.
We had a small audience of 40 million people, you know, prime time.
And that's back then.
Yes.
I mean, that was you dominated.
That, yeah, well, together with Milton Berle. They used to say Uncle Fulty and Uncle Milty.
No disrespect intended,
Yes.
I'm sure. Now, the effort underway to make him a saint in the Roman Catholic
Correct.
Church. How far along is that effort?
Well, Steve, I'm very, very happy to say that we're almost there, in the sense that, as you do know, there are two main steps, to be declared a blessed and then a saint. We're almost near the beatification of Fulton J. Sheen, because the miracle has been approved by the Medical Commission and by the Theological Commission. So now it's actually up to the Holy Father, Pope Francis to decide when we are going to have the beatification ceremony. Then we will need another miracle, probably yours and mine. You never know.
I was going to say, I thought it takes two, right, for the canonization.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Not really. One would be enough, even for the canonization.
Okay.
You know, one for the beatification, another one
for the canonization.
Yes.
And when this happens, and you are there to watch it, as I'm sure you will be, I can't imagine how full of pride and you will be.
And well, I have to say that I'm just back from Rome. I was there for the canonization of the two great pontiffs.
Yes. What an event that was!
Historic. You have two popes living, and two popes whom I had served, both of them. John the 23rd, Saint John the 23rd. You know, during the council, I was Peritus during the council. And then John Paul II. I worked for 26 years in the Vatican between Paul VI and John Paul II. So I was very, very close to, especially to John Paul.
So many people are familiar with Archbishop Fulton through the TV show and through the legend. But tell us something that maybe people don't know. Tell us something about the man that people might love to hear but don't know.
Well, there are so many things. You know, actually, Steve, I have to tell you that I could talk about Bishop Sheen until probably 3 days or 4 days from now without stopping. But just to tell you something, we usually walked to 366 Fifth Avenue. You and I would take about probably 5-7 minutes. Not with the bishop, because they would stop him and say, the thrill of my life. And he was so humble, because he would abide, you know, well, may I take it? That's why I don't have many pictures with him, because wherever we went across the globe, because we would go elsewhere, not only in the United States, naturally, for meetings or retreats and whatever, 18 times. I went to Ireland with him, you know, just to give you a glimpse, not to speak about Rome, naturally, the meetings. He would always abide immediately. He would say, well, why not? We can take a picture at any time, you know, with the bishop. And who would take the picture? But I would say, Father, can you take a picture? Can you take a picture with the bishop? So I would be the one taking the picture, but not being in the picture.
Right. So that you don't have any pictures with it.
Very few pictures.
But you do have hundreds of pages of writings, and you brought some with you. What for instance, might that be?
Well, this is really interesting. I am finally. This is long overdue, because I was so busy doing other things. But finally, I have come to publish eventually this year, or in a month or so.
Your memoirs.
My memoirs with the bishop. And also, I have to tell you that I'm very proud of the fact that he wrote to me handwritten letters. I have over 100 of them.
Wow, that's great.
To me, that's the greatest treasure that I have.
Sure.
And where you have actually the history of the post-conciliar church and the post-conciliar nation of the United States, written here, you know, in these. So I will try to make the people understand how precious was the influence of this man, not only on the church. Some people might say, well, the church, yes, of course, naturally.
Because of his position, sure.
Because of his position, because of his influence, you know, in the mass media and so on and so forth. But
what else? Where else is it realized?
The country really was a completely different country, as you can see. You saw it before. We saw the little bit of clip gave us an idea how much in love was with his own country, America, and how much he wanted that country to be saved, you know, under the guidance of God Almighty, you know. But this is really interesting. For instance, this one.
Please.
This one is. It's interesting how it was so precise. We're talking about June 1971. He had just discovered. That was a long time before you were born.
No.
But I'm just saying, he had just discovered that I had been made a Msgr. So look at this. He said, "My dear Father Franco," and then he adds in red, Monsignor. the delicate touch of this
He
man.
went through such trouble to do that, to change the pen color and everything.
And whatever is contained in some of these letters are really, I shared them on other television shows, like a glimpse of some of these letters, and I have to say that they're really, really.
For instance, besides the congratulations, what else?
Well, he's talking about the church in the United States, and he was talking about the bishops' meeting. Were very interesting. This is May 10, 1971. It tells us what the bishops were doing at that time to bring about the social issues.
So to look back, it's a history lesson.
It's a whole history of the nation, too.
I can't wait to see your memoir.
It's incredible, you know, how this thing really became. So,
what would he say about where we are as a nation today?
Steve,
and I don't mean to make it political. You take it wherever you want to take it.
Steve, well, let me be very frank. My name is Franco, so I have to be frank. You know, I feel that Bishop Sheen would repeat the same things that he said so many, I would say, 4 decades ago. You know, he said it in such a way that really today they look like they were written or they proclaimed those words right now, at this very moment. I think he was against the war in Vietnam, for instance, at that time, and he said it publicly. He would always come up and say whatever he felt. Definitely, he would say a few things about the church that we don't like, you know, at times. Certainly, he would talk about the abuse of children and so on and so forth in a very strong way, because that was his way, but also about this country, our beloved country. Well, right now we are here at the United Nations, you know, we are dealing with the problem of Iraq. What are we going to do? You have the two
Sunni Shia,
the Sunnis and the Shiites, you know. But are we doing anything? Are we going to do anything? You know, I know that the government is in
sectarian problems. The world hasn't changed all that much in reality from back then to now, is what you're actually saying.
Exactly.
In his writings, which were prophetic, and in reality on the ground, I guess.
It's interesting how when I received these letters, Steve, you know, I read them naturally with great attention at the time. But we're talking about the 70s, you know.
Yeah, no, but like you said, a lot of it carries over.
Right.
Monsignor, I could talk to you all day. You said you could talk about that for 3-4 days. I could talk about this with you all day, and I thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Okay,
Monsignor Hilary Franco, ladies and gentlemen, assistant to Bishop Fulton J. Sheen, and advisor, permanent observer of the Holy See to the United Nations. What a pleasure, and I can't wait for his memoirs to come out right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.